Hey guys, Joe from Real Talk, and today I'm here to review Jurassic World, directed by Colin Trevorrow. There's a lot of things about this movie that make it so different, and a couple things about this movie that didn't make it so different than a lot of regular summer blockbuster movies out there. But the biggest reason I think that this movie was successful was simply because it's a summer movie that's a spin-off, or that's a reboot of a popular film franchise, and that film franchise is in fact Jurassic Park. We all love the movie, the first one directed by Steven Spielberg, and the second one not so much, and the third one we pretty much all fell flat and said Jurassic Park's dead. But this movie proves otherwise, with all the tremendous actors that they brought in for this movie, the talent by the director, and by the new hunger for a better and new franchise. Jurassic World brings an entirely new and refreshing take on the entire Jurassic Park film franchise, and I think that that's why the movie was so successful in making so much money through the box office. I believe it broke all records of summer releases and in all time as well. Jurassic World had one of the best, if not the best, opening of any movie of all time, and this is not an over exaggeration. The movie kicked butt in the box office. There was no other movie that could come close to the success it had over the weekend domestically, and it will do even more money internationally, so there'll be more money in rolling for this movie. Jurassic World is on point to go over the billion mark, simply because a lot of people are going to go watch the movie again just to get a new and different feel for the movie. So what I think of the movie, I thought that the movie was pretty solid from beginning to end. You know, there was a lot of retakes from the first movie that we got. You know, the Velociraptors, the T-Rex. We got a lot of new dinosaurs as well. The idea of bringing back dinosaurs was pretty much non-existent in this movie. Dinosaurs are there. We have to accept it now that the scientists have been allowed to make new dinosaurs. But the interesting twist on it is what's next for them. You know, people are excited about dinosaurs, but eventually they'll get bored of them because that's just how our generation is nowadays. But I believe that this movie brought in a new and refreshing take on it by adding the military into it. And I know we saw them in Jurassic Park too, but in this movie we see the government kind of taking a backseat and doing their hiding behind the scenes type of deal. And especially with the scientists that they brought in this movie back from the first one, it kind of pulls things full circle and gives us a good perspective of why in fact the government is making these dinosaurs in the first place. They want to make these things for military purposes, possibly and most likely, and that all starts with the Velociraptors, and that brings us to Chris Pratt's character. I thought that his character, although I could not remember his first name, I just bought him as Star-Lord or Chris Pratt, I thought that his character very much reminisces to Alan Grant from the first and the third Jurassic Park. I thought that both of them believed that nature should not be messed with and that you should leave it alone and let it do its thing, because, you know, some things are better left untouched, and that is one of the biggest things is dinosaurs. You know, you cannot leave those things to the hands of scientists and to humans, because in the history of humans, we all goof things up, we all mess things up for the worst for a lot of people. And guess what happens? Dinosaur, they try to make brand new, breaks out and causes havoc around the whole island, killing other dinosaurs, causing tremendous damage to the entire park, and spreading panic throughout the entire park as well. And I think this gives us a good chance to seep into the philosophy of Bryce Dallas Howard's character. She's a she's probably the worst aunt that you've ever had, but one of the best businesswomen. You know, she's trying to run this park. She's doing her very best to keep it in line. Of course, you can't keep dinosaurs contained, so in fact, she panics. She worries about losing her nephews that have come to the park to visit her and to see the park. And I think there was a subplot with the kid, you know, who loves dinosaurs, but that was kind of just dropped. And there was a point where they were bringing in family drama into it. And so at the same time, I was like, all right, kid, are you really here to escape your parents' problem, or are you here because you love dinosaurs? I wasn't too sure where they were going with his story, but I didn't really care. You know, they were just your average kids. You know, there was one teenager who was very much the antisocial, rebellious guy who does his own thing, but at the same time still looks after his brother. He's a very curious yet smart, you know, little sibling, kind of like in the first Jurassic Park. But in this movie, we get to see them both as boys that struggle with a problem going on with their parents. And then they get in the mix of all this gigantic problems with the Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World, with these dinosaurs going crazy and escaping from their location. And brings us to the Indominosaurus Rex. And I know the dinosaur name sounds silly, but in reality, I was very, very intimidated by this dinosaur. It was gigantic. It had actual long arms. It had all the aspects you want in a weaponized dinosaur, and it really made you scared in the movie. The beautiful thing about Steven Spielberg movies of the past is that you didn't see very much of his monsters. You didn't see very much of his, animals. They were hiding. They were in the shadows. You didn't see them, and that's what made him scarier. And for a long time, the Adontosaurus Rex was also the same thing. It was hiding in the shadows. You didn't see the entire body of it, and when you did, it was huge because there was a giant explosion in the background. It was pretty awesome to see the fights in this movie between dinosaurs, especially at the end. It got very ridiculous, but you expect that because we don't know how dinosaurs fight in the actual world and when they were created and when they existed in the time period. But we do know for a fact this is Hollywood, and you have to make things a huge fight. And once you get past that reality, you will enjoy this movie. And I enjoyed the movie. We saw some dinosaurs fighting. We saw some humans versus dinosaurs. We saw dinosaurs rip apart buildings, rip apart cars, all that jazz, and it was very fulfilling. And so I'm going to give this movie a solid 7.5 out of 10. The little things that bothered me were, of course, the CGI. The story wasn't explored too much. You got lost in, all these subplots that didn't really go anywhere. But at the same time, you were there to enjoy a movie, and I came out as if I enjoyed the movie, and that was the important thing for me. I thought the characters of the movie were also solid as well. I love Chris Pratt's performance. He's becoming a star in Hollywood. He's making so much money off of all his movies, starting with Guardians of the Galaxy, the Lego movie, this movie. He's going to have much more movies out there. And there's a huge rumor he's going to be Indiana Jones. Can you imagine him as Indiana Jones now? Possibly. He's a huge box office draw now, and I think that's another reason why this movie made a lot of money. But guys, comment below and let me know what you thought of Jurassic World. Did you think it was fantastic? Did you think it was okay? Did you think that it was too silly? Do you think the ending wasn't good enough? Let me know in the comments below, and also leave a like for this video if you can. Also subscribe to get other reviews and other videos here on this channel as well. This has been Joel from Real Talk. Go watch some movies.